Okay, the lesson for this week will be the difference between say, tell, speak, and talk. I think that from all of the mistakes which are made in my classes, this mistake is probably made more than any other mistake, especially mistakes with say and tell, but also with speak and talk. And many times I get questions about how these words work in English. They all mean kind of the same thing. Especially say and tell, they're used for transferring information or transferring instructions. They're similar, but they're used very differently. And then speak and talk are similar to each other, but they are also used very differently from say and tell. And they're used more for the general act of speaking or talking. So let's start with say and tell. With say, we report directly or indirectly what was said exactly. So we could say, for example, he said that I would fail the test. Will becomes would in these kind of indirect speech patterns. So he said that I would fail the test. We can use say for that sentence, but we can use tell, because we're still transferring information and we're still reporting exactly what was said. But with tell needs a personal object. You tell someone, always. So, in this sentence, he told me that I would fail the test. We can have he said that I would fail the test, or he told me that I would fail the test. But it doesn't have to be me. He told Dave that he would fail the test. He told the class that they would fail the test. He told nobody that they would fail the test. But you need the personal object after tell. With say, it's not possible unless you use a preposition. So he said to me that I would fail the test. That is how we make say equivalent to tell. We use to. He said to me that I would fail the test. He told me that I would fail the test. This is the most important difference. If you say he told that, you're already wrong. You must use he told me that. He told them that. He told the teacher that. So that's the difference really between say and tell. The main difference, the necessity of using a personal object after the verb with tell. And you cannot use a personal object after say without the preposition. You need he said to me, he said to them, he said to the class that they would fail the test. Okay, that's the main difference with say or tell. But say and tell do have some collocations. So say plus a noun, we have say a word, he didn't say a word. Say a sentence, say a phrase, say yes, say no, say good morning as well equally, but yeah, we have lots of nouns which work with say. With tell, there are only a few, and they just have to be remembered really. You can tell the truth, you can tell lies, you can tell secrets, and you can tell a story. So these are the main nouns which collocate with tell. You just have to remember that these words work with tell. Okay, one other thing about say and tell, how they are different. Tell is used for transferring instruction or information. Some things in English are not an instruction and they're not information. For example, the greeting hello. You can't say he told me hello. Hello is just a greeting. It doesn't tell anything. It doesn't transfer information or instruction. So you need to use say with he said good morning, he said welcome, he said hello, he said hi. All of these require say, not tell. Tell is only for he told me to do my homework. He told me what the time was. They're giving you information here or instructions. Okay, so it's one more difference between say and tell. But generally, they're the same. They're just used in different ways. They mean the same thing. And most sentences, you can change how the word order works, and then you have exactly the same sentence, but with the other verb. So that's say and tell done. Now we can speak about speak and talk. Now, speak and talk do not say exactly what information was said. They don't say what information was transferred. They're just used to talk generally about the act of speaking, talking, having a conversation, having a chat. So, we use them very often when we don't say what was said, if we're just talking about the act of speaking. For example, I went into the class and everybody stopped talking. We don't know what they were talking about. We don't care what they were talking about. We're just talking about that act of speaking, of talking. And you can say everybody stopped speaking. Talking would be more common here because talking is used more often for a general conversation between many participants. I think the act of talking is more related to a number of different people having a dialogue than speaking. Speak we always use for languages. He speaks English very well, he speaks French very well. Speak collocates with the language. And both of them have the pattern with about, where we can find out what kind of themes they were talking about. We don't find out exactly what was said. We just find out what themes, what topics they mentioned. So they were speaking about the weather, is fine. They were talking about his new promotion, is fine. But you can use say or tell for these if you want to report exactly what was said. He told me about his promotion, and he said that he was promoted. Both of those are correct. So you can see that all of these words have some similarities. It's just that speak and talk are used for the general act, and say and tell are used to report what was said, either directly or indirectly. Okay, I want to mention 3 phrasal verbs with these words as well, which are worth remembering. There are others, but these are perhaps the most popular, the most common, I should say. Speak up, it means speak louder. If you can't hear what somebody is saying and you want them to speak a little louder, you say speak up. A second one would be tell on someone. This is used mainly amongst children, and it's when they tell an adult or some authority figure that another child is doing something wrong or being naughty. So if you see your friend throwing something in the class and you decide to be very disloyal and you tell on them, it means that you tell the teacher what they were doing, the bad thing which they were doing, and usually that person is punished afterwards. The last one which I would like to mention is tell off, and it's related to tell on. The teacher is the person who tells you off, and this is if you do something naughty, even if you don't have your homework ready, the teacher may tell you off, and it means that they will talk to you in an angry way because they're not happy that you haven't done the homework or you haven't behaved yourself in an appropriate way. So they tell you off. Very, very common. Both of them are used very often in schools. Okay, thanks for watching. I hope that you will now take the test.